All right, I loved those guys, especially live. They're always hilarious and always so good. But I hate to sound like a broken record, but this was also kind of their peak, and it makes sense really when you think about it. The up and comers went on first; they weren't really big hit makers yet, and the well established ones would close. But it's just interesting to me that. That the up and comers ended up having probably a lot more success or a longer successful span than a lot of the guys that were established at the time. They really only had about a 2-year lifespan of hit making, it seems like. But the up and comers like NXS, lasted quite a bit longer. But these guys were a little bit different. The headliners of New Wave Day, but they had been around since the 70s. They had been currently in 1983 anyway, touring for their biggest international hit album and their biggest singles of their career, yet it was their last performance as far as not the original lineup, but their real true lineup before co-leader Mick Jones departed from the band. I'm talking about The Clash, and this story is actually kind of interesting. The Clash, of course, were anti-establishment, and they were just, going to hate everyone and hate everything anyway, or be critical of it, which was okay. I mean, we needed somebody to keep the industry and ourselves honest. They also had a big problem with American commercialism and things like that, and universally too. But come on, America, pretty much the capital of the world, capitalist capital of the world, right? Anyway. So they show up to the US Festival. They hear about Steve Wozniak and his kind of like peace, love, and future and technology and make the world a better place and everything. They get there and they find out that it's just all about making money. Now, in this day and age of Apple, we know that they're all about the money. But back then, they were also kind of seen as kind of half hippie, half capitalist. And so they were a little disappointed when they got in there and found out how commercial the whole thing was. And perhaps they were a little bit bitter to find out that they were only making $500,000 for their performance, and Van Halen, who was headlining the next night, was making $1.5 million, and I think Bowie was making $1 million. So maybe they were a little bit bitter about that. But regardless of the reasons and the causes and whether or not it was justifiable, they were a little bit bitter, and they let that be known to the crowd. And which is, that's very punk rock, man. You just go ahead and call it how you see it, man, and make people mad, and that's okay, because they're a lot better slam dancers after they get a little bit angry. But they did have a bit of a feud with Van Halen, and whatever. I think the whole world is better off for it. So we're going to close things out with The Clash, and again, they did continue without Mick Jones for a little bit, but it was just never the same. It was certainly not The Clash as far as I can tell. But we're going to check out their classic Train in Vain from the US Festival. This is Al Kendall. Until tomorrow, keep it in the groove.